why is Squid Game proving so popular? From music to movies and TV dramas, South Korea's once little-known entertainment industry is starting to punch far above its weight. The latest craze is the 9-episode dystopian thriller Squid Game. Just days after being released on Netflix, the ultra-violent drama became a global sensation.
Social media may have shut down for a bit yesterday, but Netflix stayed online. Good news for the millions of people devouring the hit show Squid Game.
Everybody, I'm here with the cast of Squid Game right there.
With almost no marketing, Squid Game's popularity spread mostly through social media, trending with hundreds of thousands of tweets a day, and through memes, which have recreated many of its gruesome scenes. In the US, the show hit #1 by its 4th day, and is set to become the most watched series in Netflix history. One of the lead actresses had her Instagram blow up to millions of followers, and fans are already calling for a sequel. But the show's director says season 2 isn't a sure thing just yet. The success of Squid Game isn't a South Korean one-hit wonder either. Last year, a small-budget film called Parasite became a global box office success and was the first non-English film to win Hollywood's biggest prize.
Parasite.
Bong Joon-ho?
So what do Squid Game and Parasite have in common other than gaining mass appeal? It's their ability to tell South Korea's story of inequality, how the country's rapid modernization exposed the excesses of capitalism that left millions on the margins. But why have South Koreans been so good at telling this story? When we think of South Korea today, we think of a high-tech society that exports smartphones, TVs, appliances, and cars. But this wasn't always the case.
In fact, throughout Southeast Asia, there comes open aggression in Korea. Here, the Russian-dominated North Koreans launched a full-scale, well-prepared drive on the capital of the South, Seoul. The peaceful southern democracy was taken by surprise by this communist blitzkrieg, culmination of red aims in the Far East that are perfectly clear for all to see.
After suffering decades of colonization and a brutal civil war, South Korea was one of the poorest nations on earth. Its per capita GDP was just $67 in 1953, and average life expectancy was 42 years. But starting in the 1960s and 70s, South Korea experienced an economic boom. With close coordination between its authoritarian government and family-run conglomerates, the country was able to rapidly transition to an export-driven economy. These companies, known as chaebols, which means wealth clique, practically run the South Korean economy today. They make your phones, washing machines, and the tanker ships that ferry global trade. According to Korea's Fair Trade Commission, the top 10 chaebols own more than 27% of all business assets in South Korea.
These South Korean companies are all family-run conglomerates known as chaebol. Chaebol, roughly meaning wealth clique in Korean, are in large part responsible for the country's transformation from economic minnow to the world's 5th largest exporter in just a few generations.
But this export-led strategy, dominated by a few companies, hasn't benefited everyone. According to the Bank of Korea, every 12 minutes, a South Korean declares bankruptcy.
South Korea's household debt, which includes credit card purchases and loans, reached an all-time high at the end of last year.
Due to the increase in house purchases, more mortgage loans have been taken out compared to the previous quarter. Other debts also rose significantly on quarter as more people took out loans for living and buying stuff.
Much of this debt has been fueled by an explosion of credit cards, where government deregulations encouraged lenders to drown people in a vicious cycle of borrowing.
South Korean government tried to kickstart the economy by encouraging consumers to spend. It gave tax breaks for plastic payments. The result? The number of companies issuing cards exploded. Between 1999 and 2002, the number of credit cards for every adult doubled to 4. And as competition heated up, credit card companies also started loosening credit limits to entice more cardholders.
Poverty now affects more than 40% of South Koreans over the age of 65, the highest ratio in the world. And when it comes to young people, the prospects for many are also pretty grim. For those who can't get a coveted spot in a top-tier university, many are left with few job prospects in a hyper-competitive economy where a degree means everything. Countless Koreans live in basements and tiny apartments, barely enough for one person. That's where South Korea's filmmakers and TV producers have stepped in. They've perfected the art of telling the story of inequality. And because most South Koreans remember what it was like to be poor, that message seems all the more authentic and could explain why it's resonating across the globe.